5 years is not a small thing when you're 25. It's years of shared routines, future plans spoken out loud, and decisions made as we instead of me. 5 years of believing that what you were building was solid. Daniel and I had been together since I was 20. He was 23 when we met. We grew into adulthood together, learning, adjusting, forgiving. We built a relationship that felt stable enough to survive disagreements, distance, even the uncomfortable parts of each other's past, including his, Julia, his high school girlfriend, his first love, the story he always said was over. They dated when they were teenagers, young, intense, emotional. One of those relationships people remember as important, even years later. According to him, it had ended long before I came into his life, and I believed that, or at least, I wanted to. New Year's Eve had always mattered to me, not because of superstition, but because it symbolizes beginnings. I wanted to start that year with him, consciously, intentionally. He arrived early that night. That detail matters. He came before 8, holding a bottle of wine, smiling, saying that after 5 years together, we deserved a quiet night just for us. No parties, no friends, just home, conversation, and a calm transition into a new year. I believed him. The table was set. Dinner was simple. 2 glasses, soft music. The apartment felt warm, intimate, like a place where time slows down. We ate, we laughed, we talked about trips we wanted to take, things we wanted to change, how the next year needed to be lighter. For a few hours, we were exactly the couple I thought we were. Then, a few minutes before midnight, his phone vibrated. He didn't grab it immediately, but I saw the name light up on the screen. Julia. He looked at the phone. Then he looked at me. And in that brief moment, I already knew this wasn't going to be simple. "She's calling," he said quietly. "She's alone. Her family lives far away." I stayed silent. "She's crying," he continued. "She says she's not okay. I'm scared she might do something to herself." That sentence changed everything. Not because I didn't care, but because it made questioning him feel cruel. "I just need to go check on her," he said, already standing up, "just to calm her down. It won't take long." "It's New Year's Eve," I replied. "I know," he said, "but I can't ignore this." I looked at the table, at the 2 glasses still full, at the clock reading 11:52 p.m., 5 years together. "If you leave now," I said calmly, "don't come back tonight." He sighed, irritated. "You're being unfair," he replied. "I'm just helping." Helping. That word people use when they want to cross a boundary without owning the consequences. He grabbed his coat and keys, avoided my eyes. "I'll be quick," he said. The door closed seconds before midnight. Fireworks exploded outside. I stayed inside, and sitting there alone, I understood something with painful clarity. When someone leaves you on New Year's Eve, the choice has already been made. I didn't cry. I didn't call. I didn't send a message. I just sat there listening to the noise outside, knowing that something had ended. Even if he didn't realize it yet. He didn't come back before midnight. He didn't come back during the fireworks. He didn't come back when the city slowly quieted down and the new year officially began. I didn't call him. I didn't text. I didn't do anything that could later be used as proof that I had overreacted. I stayed on the couch, still dressed, the glass of wine untouched beside me, watching the lights outside fade one by one. The silence wasn't dramatic, it was revealing. At 1:17 a.m., my phone vibrated. "Everything's okay here. She was really bad, but she's calmer now. I'm heading back." I read it once, then again. The word heading felt flexible, conveniently vague. He arrived after 2. The door opened softly, like someone afraid of waking a problem rather than a person. He put his keys down slowly, looked around the apartment, and seemed relieved when he saw me sitting there, quiet, not angry, not crying. "She's better," he said. It was intense. "I imagine," I replied. That was all. He waited, for questions, for accusations, for emotion. None came. He drank some water, sat down, glanced at the table, as if only then realizing what he had left behind. "I didn't have a choice," he said. That sentence hung in the air. I didn't respond. We went to bed without resolving anything. No fight, no closure, just a silence that didn't calm. It postponed. The next morning I woke up early. I made coffee, cleaned the kitchen, put away the plates from the night before with a calm that surprised even me. It didn't feel like denial. It felt like clarity settling in. He woke up around 10, disoriented, unsure whether to apologize or defend himself. "You're acting strange," he said. "I'm paying attention," I replied. He laughed awkwardly. "You know it was an extreme situation." "I know," I said. "That's why I'm paying attention." Over the next few days, things I had ignored for years started lining up. Late replies, sudden errands, short absences explained too quickly, or not enough. "She's unstable lately," he said one afternoon. "Her family is far away. She doesn't really have anyone." I listened. I always had. But now, I remembered other nights, other quick visits, other moments when I had waited without knowing exactly why. The difference now was simple. I was no longer willing to pretend this was rare. One evening, while he was in the shower, his phone vibrated on the table. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. The name was clear on the screen. Julia. I didn't confront him. I didn't mention it. But at that exact moment, the last doubt disappeared. New Year's Eve wasn't an exception. It was just the moment everything became visible. And quietly, without drama, without announcements, I began preparing myself for a decision he didn't know was coming. Not to argue, not to beg, not to compete with his past, but to choose. I waited 2 days before bringing it up, not because I was unsure, because I wanted certainty, not emotion, leading the conversation. When I finally spoke, it was on an ordinary night. Dinner on the table, the TV on, muted, everything normal on the surface, which somehow made the truth heavier. "We need to talk," I said. He turned the TV off immediately, as if he had been expecting that sentence. "I know," he replied. "And I already fixed everything." "Fixed what?" I asked. "The situation with Julia," he said. "I made things clear. I blocked her. There's no more contact." The words came out fast, too clean, too rehearsed. "Okay," I said. He frowned. "That's it?" "I'm listening," I replied. He took a breath. "I know New Year's Eve was hard," he continued, "but you need to understand the context. She was alone. Her family lives far away. I was genuinely afraid she might hurt herself." I looked at him steadily. "And you left me alone," I said. Not accusing, just stating a fact. "It was an emergency," he replied. "It wasn't a choice." I didn't argue. I let the sentence sit on its own. "I blocked her," he repeated. "This won't happen again." He sounded confident, as if saying it made it true. That's when his phone, lying between us on the couch, vibrated. Not loud, not dramatic, just enough. He looked at the screen, then at me. And for the first time since New Year's Eve, he froze. The name was right there. Julia. I didn't move. I didn't say anything. I waited. He flipped the phone face down too quickly. "It must be a glitch," he said. "Sometimes calls come through before the block fully works." "I see," I replied. Silence filled the room. "How many times has this happened?" I asked calmly. "What?" he said. "How many times have you said it was resolved when it wasn't?" He didn't answer. "How many times did you leave to just help her?" I continued, "without telling me?" He rubbed his face. "Not many," he said. "So, not once?" I replied. He sighed, annoyed now. "You're making this bigger than it is." "No," I said. "I just stopped minimizing it." He shifted tactics. "Do you trust me?" he asked. I thought before answering. "Trust isn't pretending not to see," I said. "It's knowing exactly where you stand." The phone vibrated again. This time, he turned it off completely. "I told you it's resolved," he insisted. And that's when I understood something important. He believed that declaring a boundary was the same as respecting one. It isn't. "I'm not going to argue about this," I said, standing up. "Not now, not later." "Are you leaving?" he asked. "No," I replied. "I'm stopping myself from competing with your past." I walked out of the room calmly, and as he sat there, staring at his silent phone, one truth settled in quietly. When someone needs to lose you in order to decide, they've already decided too late. After that night, Daniel changed. Not suddenly, but noticeably. He became more present, more attentive, asked about my day, suggested small plans, tried to rebuild a sense of normalcy, as if consistency after the damage could erase what had already happened. It was as if he believed that being better now could cancel out the choice he had already made. One evening, while we were having dinner, he said, "You've been distant." I looked up from my plate. "I've been clearer," I replied. He frowned. "You didn't have to walk away like that the other day. We could have talked it through." "We did talk," I said calmly, "just not in the way you wanted." He exhaled, irritation creeping into his voice. "You're making me sound like the bad guy." "I'm not," I said. "I'm just not covering for you anymore." He crossed his arms. "You're acting like I betrayed you." "I'm saying you left me alone on a night that mattered," I replied, "and that it wasn't the first time I came second." "You're mixing things up," he said. "You're exaggerating." There it was. The familiar attempt to shift the focus. "Exaggerating would be pretending nothing changed," I replied. "And something did." He leaned back, frustrated. "So now everything I do is wrong?" "No," I said. "Now everything you do is being noticed." That unsettled him more than anger ever could. "You used to be more flexible," he said. "I confused flexibility with silence," I replied. "I don't anymore." He stayed quiet for a moment, then tried a different tone. "You know I went because I was scared," he said softly. "If something had happened to her—" "Daniel," I interrupted, for the first time. "Stop!" He looked at me, surprised. "Don't use that as a shield," I continued. "Fear doesn't justify repetition, and help doesn't justify absence." The silence that followed was heavy. "So what do you want from me?" he asked. I thought for a moment. "Consistency," I replied. "And respect." He ran a hand through his hair. "You're changing." "No," I said. "I'm stopping myself from adapting to something that's been hurting me for a long time." That night, we slept in the same bed, but we were no longer in the same place. And for the first time, Daniel sensed something he had never faced before. I wasn't angry. I wasn't asking for reassurance. I wasn't negotiating. I was quietly pulling away. And that terrified him more than any argument ever could. The conversation that had been missing happened 2 days later. Not planned, not dramatic. It happened because pretending had finally become impossible. We were at his apartment, a place that for 5 years had also been partly mine. I had always left some of my things there, clothes, shoes, skincare, books, to make life easier, to feel at home, to stay longer. The moment he walked into the living room, he sensed something different. "You're acting strange," he said. "I'm not," I replied. "I'm decided." He let out a tired breath. "You're still stuck on that night," he said. "I already explained everything." That's when I stopped moving and looked directly at him. "Then answer me one thing," I said calmly. "And answer honestly." He went silent. "If it were me," I continued, "if I were the one getting calls from an ex, if I were the one leaving the house late to help someone from my past, if I were the one leaving you alone on New Year's Eve," I paused. "What would you do?" He opened his mouth, closed it, ran a hand over his face. "Obviously I wouldn't accept that," he said at last. I nodded slowly. "Then you've reached exactly the point I wanted," I said. "You already have your answer." He tried to speak. "It's not the same." "It is," I interrupted without raising my voice. "The difference is that I didn't try to justify it. The silence that followed wasn't confusing anymore. It was final. I didn't come here to argue," I continued. "I came to end this." He stared at me. "What do you mean?" I didn't answer. I walked to the bedroom and grabbed the suitcase I had already prepared, not out of impulse, out of clarity. For years, I had left things at his place to make life easier, to be closer, to feel more present. Now I gathered everything with the same calm I had used to decide to leave. Clothes, shoes, a charger forgotten in a drawer, a book I never finished reading there. He followed me down the hallway. "Did you plan this?" he asked. "No," I replied. "I just stopped improvising my dignity." I took the last of my things, closed the suitcase, and returned to the living room. "You're really leaving like this?" he asked. "I'm not leaving like this," I replied. "I'm leaving the only way that makes sense now." He stepped closer. "We can fix this." I looked at him calmly. "You had 5 years to choose right," I said. "On New Year's Eve, you chose." I picked up the suitcase. "I won't compete with your first love," I finished. "And I won't wait for you to decide again." I opened the door. "Take care," he said quietly. "I always did," I replied. "I just didn't take care of myself." I left, and as I walked down the stairs, what I felt wasn't sadness. It was relief, because some stories don't end with tears or shouting. Some end the moment the right question finally gets the right answer. I didn't go back on my decision. I didn't call the next day. I didn't text to check if he was okay. I didn't soften anything to make it easier for him. I went back to my apartment, the one that was truly mine. I opened the windows, changed the sheets, cleared out the last traces of a routine that no longer belonged to me. It wasn't dramatic. It was practical. In the first few days, I didn't miss him. I missed the habit. 5 years create muscle memory, morning routines, automatic messages, silence that feels familiar. But something unexpected happened. Peace arrived before longing. On the 3rd day, he texted, "I've been thinking a lot about what you said." I didn't reply. On the 5th day, "I never thought you would actually leave." I read it, put the phone down, went on with my day. I only answered his call on the 7th day. Not out of hope, out of closure. "I lost you, didn't I?" he asked without preamble. "Yes," I replied. No anger, no pride, just truth. "I only understood when I got home and you weren't there," he said. "When I realized you hadn't left anything behind." That hurt him more than any argument ever could. "Some choices only make noise when silence arrives," I said. He stayed quiet for a moment. "I thought you would understand, like you always did." "I did understand," I replied. "That's why I left." After that, there was nothing left to debate. No promises, no negotiations, no second chances disguised as reflection. For the first time, he understood something that couldn't be explained to him before. It wasn't Julia who took him away from me. It was his certainty that he would always have time to decide, and time ran out. Time moved forward quietly, not in dramatic leaps, not with big announcements, just days stacking on top of each other, doing what time always does when no one is trying to stop it. I rebuilt my routine without forcing anything. Work became lighter. Sleep came easier. I stopped checking my phone before bed, waiting for messages that no longer mattered. I didn't rush into anything new. I didn't need to. Being at peace with myself felt like enough. From time to time, I heard things. Friends would mention him casually. Someone would say he looked tired. Another would say he asked about me, carefully, as if afraid of the answer. I never asked back, not out of pride, out of closure. Months later, I found out that Julia was in a new relationship, not through him, not through gossip meant to provoke, just information that reached me naturally, the way things do when they're no longer loaded with emotion. She had moved on, and that realization didn't hurt. It didn't bother me. It didn't spark relief or jealousy. It simply confirmed something I already knew. That whole situation had never been about her. It had always been about his inability to let go of a role where he felt needed. As the year came to an end, invitations started appearing. Dinners, small gatherings, plans made without hesitation. On New Year's Eve, I wasn't at home waiting. I was surrounded by friends. Music was loud. Laughter came easily. Glasses clinked. Conversations overlapped. People were alive around me. Someone took a picture. I was right in the middle of it, laughing, not posing. Fireworks exploding in the background. Joy that didn't need to be explained. The photo was posted. Smiles, friends, fireworks. Across the city, he spent that night differently. I didn't know it then, but I would later. He waited for the phone to ring, for the familiar vibration, for the message that for 5 years had always come. It didn't. Not from Julia, not from me. Julia had rebuilt her life. I was whole with mine, and he was finally alone with his choices. No scenes, no dramatic realizations, just the quiet understanding that time doesn't pause for people who postpone decisions. And that night, without anyone saying a word, everything settled exactly where it belonged. The year passed, not with noise, not with dramatic turning points. It passed the way real years do, quietly, steadily, carrying people forward, whether they are ready or not. I found out through others that Julia was dating someone new, nothing hidden, nothing dramatic, a new relationship, openly lived, moving forward the way things usually do when they finally find their place. She rebuilt her life. And surprisingly, that information didn't stir anything inside me. No relief, no anger, no urge to say, "See, I was right." It was just information. Another New Year's Eve arrived. This time I wasn't home waiting. There was no table set for two, no silence pressing against the walls. There was laughter, friends filling the room, music loud, conversations overlapping, glasses clinking, fireworks reflecting through the windows. Someone took a photo. I was in the middle of it, laughing naturally, not posing. Friends around me, fireworks in the background. The photo was posted. Smiles, friends, fireworks. Across the city, his night looked very different. He waited for the phone to ring, for the familiar vibration, for the message that for 5 years had always arrived, even when it shouldn't have. But the phone stayed silent. Not from Julia, not from me. Julia had moved on. I was at peace with myself, and he was left alone with the sound of his own choices. No confrontation, no dramatic realization, just the quiet understanding that time doesn't wait for people who postpone decisions. That night, without anyone saying a word, everything finally settled where it belonged. Some answers don't come through conversations. They don't come with apologies. They don't come with explanations. They don't come when we demand them. They come with time. For a long time, I believed love meant understanding everything, being patient, waiting while someone figured things out. I confused patience with commitment, but time taught me something simpler and truer. Someone who chooses you doesn't leave you waiting. Someone who respects you doesn't test your limits on important days. And someone who needs to lose you in order to decide, decides too late. That first New Year's Eve, I was alone. A year later, I was surrounded by laughter. That first time, he left believing there would always be space to come back. A year later, he waited for a phone call that never came, not because anyone wanted revenge, but because life moved forward. Julia moved forward. I moved forward. And he stayed exactly where his choices placed him. This story isn't about punishment. It's about consequence. Sometimes the bravest act of love is leaving with dignity, because when you finally choose yourself, life responds. Not loudly, but correctly. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Stories We Tell, leave a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps us keep creating stories about love, forgiveness, and second chances, because stories that touch the heart deserve to be told and remembered. Thank you for being here.